I mean, we can talk about that on the show. I'm working on real estate shit.
We are live.
Oh shit.
Listen, one of the most important one of the most important meetings that helps dictate what happens in our economy as well as our stock market. It's on its way, and we're going to talk about it as well as many other stories that happened this past week in the world of economics and finance. This is the Sunday Finance Church, brought to you by the Black Wealth Rebels. My name is Jimmy, and I'm joined by my brothers Kamari as well as Corey. How are you, gentlemen, doing today?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Excuse me.
You all right, man? Yeah, I mean, you would. I mean, I know. I don't know if even one of y'all watched the whole fight last night, man. You know what's going on, man?
I'm actually mad because I'm a major Bud fan, and I didn't see it at all. But I see
Huh?
you won.
What was you doing? How you a major Bud fan? You didn't watch the biggest fight of his career?
I was doing stuff, man. Doing stuff. It's
Yo,
tax season,
so
baby. It's tax season.
I got through about round 4, and I seen he was skunking. Boy, I was just like, you know what? Let me go ahead and get some rest
Get
because
some
I
shut
wasn't.
eye. You want got some rest?
So he
Yeah,
dominated him that clear, that early.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
for me, he did.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So what's interesting is I told someone jokingly last night. I said the biggest fight last night for me was me fighting sleep, cause they be drawing, yo. Like they didn't get in the ring till like it was past midnight. It might have been closer to 1. Like I'm like, dog, like come on, cuz I know it's past midnight by the time they got to the ring.
That's what they always do.
Now granted, I was thinking about it because everything started, you know what I'm saying, what, like around 9 o'clock. And I'm like, well, they're in the West Coast, right? So they're 3 hours behind, right? So I had to think about that. Yeah, but it was that was the biggest rumble was me fighting sleep. But I definitely took me in. Yeah, you become an old man, you learn to take naps when it's something you want to stay up for. You know what I'm saying? So I took me a young nap just so I could stay up for the fight. But I was in this joint hype. You know what I mean? Shout out to everybody who's joining us live, man. Shout out to Shelby. Shelby, I talked to Shelby via me and tell me Shelby was texting yesterday, man. He inspired me to get busy, man. So y'all see a lot more of me on my TikTok. So go follow me at JW the Blueprint because Shelby told me that I'm drawing, not posting on my TikTok page. So I'm about to
Shelby
turn.
is leading the TikTok revolution.
Dog, I'm about to turn into one of these little 15-year-olds. Y'all gonna see me in that joint. I'm about to start dancing and everything,
You
man.
gonna
So
do the
we
Harlem Shake? But
so
good morning, everybody. Good morning,
shout out to
Shelby.
everybody, yeah, joining us live, man. Listen, we're not gonna be here for a long time, but we do
Doc
come
Chaz
through.
is here.
Hey,
Morning.
Chaz, what's up, Chaz?
Jarrell, what up?
Gerald, what's up, beloved?
The Smaui.
Yes, that fight was clean,
Okay.
clean. Yo, the boy is a pugilist, boy. He's like, it's almost like watching art. Like his ability to move in the ring, land when he has to land, and just I think the thing that impressed me the most is to fight his fight and like not fall for. I've seen Canelo fight a lot of fights where people like dominate him boxing wise, and they always fall for the okie doke when he starts to like press him, and they want to just trade with him, and next thing you know, they get knocked into a, as Mike Tyson would say, Bolivian. And Bud
And
didn't fall for that.
what I find interesting about Bud, I mean, he's definitely a generational talent.
Smart.
Um, but he's a total package. He's smart, he's athletic, and he's got heart. And I don't know why the odds were so in favor for Canelo, but that just goes to show that race is a part of
Now
every
I'm gonna tell you exactly why.
family.
I do know why. When you come up he it's a total actually a 3 weight
Three
classes over the
weight
last.
classes.
Three-way
He's doing
fight.
3 weight classes. So in the history of boxing, no one's ever done nothing like this, right? So I get why you're an underdog, right? You know what I mean? Like you could
I
be the
mean,
greatest fighter,
Evander jumped like 2 or 3. Roy
Roy
not in
jumped
this
Jones
like two
did.
not
or three.
not in this short period of time, bro. They did it over years.
Okay, all right, fair, fair.
He jumped 2 just for this fight. He jumped 2 classes just for this fight. So you're fighting a guy who is, arguably one of the greatest ever himself. Right? That's the thing. Not to take anything away from Canelo. That's what makes the win that more impressive is that you dominated someone who's also considered a generational talent, but you dominated him. So and you did it at his weight.
And listen, he did it twice in a row. Somebody who was supposed to be the best at one division. His
Yeah.
last 2 fights been virtuosos, man. Like,
Boy got like 12 belts.
yeah, out of control amount of belt.
Yo, he's
And the
drawing.
crazy part is, I knew he was going to win. Like, he was so kind in interviews. Like, I'm going to do more dirty. Like, he like, listen, man. As much as y'all love Canelo and all this, I'm gonna do
Listen, man,
more
I
dirty.
was y'all know what I'm about, so I was excited. But this is not a sports show. We are going to talk about some finance. We're going to talk about what's
Black
going
Wealth
on.
show, though. It's always a Black Wealth show.
That is the Black Wealth, and he got a nice Black Wealth purse. And you know, I can't feel sorry for Canelo because he made like 200 million last night. So it's hard to feel sorry for someone. You know what I mean? You get to go
Yeah,
back
that thing
to.
was lopsided because he got what 50 million.
I think it
Spud
was like
did.
I think it was 50 versus like 150 with like bonuses that could lead up to like 200, and you know what I mean, something like that. So
Wow.
yeah, you know, so it was just phenomenal to see, man. I was very excited, man. Also, shout out to Netflix because they held it down because you know, which is speaking about the stock. I want to see what's going to happen with their stock this week because they've tried to do live events in the past and they haven't always worked out well. But they've been working on their infrastructure. You know, I saw what they did with wrestling, and now they've done this. And they got that oil money with them too. But it's either here nor there. But it's interesting to see where Netflix is going because I always
Absolutely.
wonder like
Absolutely.
what is the growth prospects of Netflix when everybody I know has Netflix, right? And I understand that it's a global company at this point, but at what point do they run out of growth? It's kind of my thoughts about Netflix. I don't know the answer to that. I've never really done a deep
They
dive.
keep reinventing themselves.
Yeah, so like, but where do you go, right? So you start to add live events. I get that. Maybe if you get the NBA, NFL, something like that, because sports right now are really the only live event that matters, unless it's some sort of like reality show final or something like that. But how do
Nah,
you how?
so the comedy specials,
But they've
the
done that. They've been
I
doing that.
know, but that's what I'm saying. But that's where they started. So they started with like, all right, we got the movies. Now we doing the comedy specials. Now they got the sports. Like they're moving more into the live event kind of reality. You know what I mean?
And by
Everything
the way,
they got their own movies. So
and by the
they
way,
do the thing.
But
I'm saying this as someone who's like a little salty because I had Netflix stock back when it was like I think $4, and
oh,
I had a bunch of it, and I don't own it anymore, and I sold it because I had the same thoughts then that I have now. Like, well, how can you grow, right? So, I made money. I made a lot of money on Netflix. Myself, my wife, both of us individually bought Netflix because we were using Netflix back when you know you had to get stuff in the mail, which seems so old now.
so I'm gonna tell you where Netflix goes, but before I tell you where Netflix goes, I want to show y'all this real quick.
Okay.
Everybody, listen. Saturday school is here. Starting October 4th, we have a new project we're working on in the community. So you guys, already familiar with the camp. The camp was a smashing success in 2025. So what we're doing now is keep the work going. We're trying to start a Saturday school. One Saturday out of every month, starting October 4th, we'll be right here, 108 East Price Street at Faith Chapel Hill. Shout out to Pastor Graves,
Shout out to Pastor Graves.
who has offered us his space to make this happen in the community. So what will be going on in this Saturday school? Kamari, tell us about it.
Oh man, we're gonna have a lot of fun. Mentorship, financial literacy. You know, finance is our thing, but we always use finance as a way to be revolutionaries, to take back their lives. So, finance, mentorship, and what did you say, a mill?
Meals, fellowship. It's going to be fun. The thing about this is it's a program, but it's also going to be fun. The thing about learning is it also should have a lot of things that are fun, and it's also going to be culturally appropriate. So that's what we're going to be doing starting October 4th. Send your kids so that they can learn, and bring yourself so that you can learn with them.
And so if you have any children, boy or girl, doesn't matter, and you want them to have opportunity to sit with 3 black men who loves black people and want us to have full control over their lives, send them to the camp every Saturday. The first Saturday of every month.
Yeah, and also we just want to make sure this is a safe space for kids in the community. And the last thing I want to say is if we have any volunteers, because what we're also looking to do is to kind of expose them to people who are professionals that look just like they look, right? Yes. And we don't care what your profession is, reach out to us. You can shoot us an email, bythehoodllc@gmail.com. But we want make sure you reach out because we want to expose the kids to people that are doing positive work.
Conditions that we're currently in. If you're in a neighborhood, if you're in a block, if you're doing something, everybody in this room can do something by being involved, by participating, and we're always looking like for volunteers, or somebody like Kamar who will make you volunteer.
Like I said, every first Saturday of the month we'll be here.
9 to 12.
That's right, from 9 to 12. The address again is 108 East Price Street, right here at Faith Chapel Church. So any questions, shoot us an email, get in contact with us. But, the work continues. And, we're looking forward to this Saturday school. We're looking forward to making this an ongoing thing outside of our summer camp. So appreciate you guys.
I just had to share that, Jimmy. We're going to share this every time. And Shelby,
No, I appreciate
CFO,
that. And thank you, Shelby. And anybody look for more information, go to bthcamp.com and share it with your family and friends, bthcamp.com. But like I said, we're not going to be here long this morning, so let's get right into what we want to talk about. We
hold
want to
on,
talk
Jimmy.
about
I
this.
got it. I'm going to tell you where Netflix is going to go.
Okay,
They're
I'm sorry. Go
going to
ahead. Finish that.
They're
Finish
going
that.
to go lower. They're going to go to the independents. They're going to go to the unseen talent because that's where the alpha is going to be to generate more profits for them. Like you saw the stuff they did with Tyler. Now Tyler isn't necessarily independent, but I believe you're going to find more people who've done stuff in the independent space that Netflix is going to find, and they're going to scoop them up.
So it's something funny, right? So when you said first of all, you said lower. I thought they was going to create some squiggly line content. I was like,
Oh
whoa, dog, I
God!
already on that. But listen though, so I was showing a house yesterday, and it was a apartment building rather, and there was a tenant home, and I was just walking through, like she was letting me walk through and like show her property to this potential buyer who's an investor, and she was watching Tubi, right? So she's sitting there in this big screen watching Tubi. It was a Tyler Perry show. I said, Tyler
Yep,
Perry got a show on Tubi?
yep.
Hold on. Tyler Perry got a show on like BT Plus, Netflix. I think what station? Matter of fact, we're better off saying what streaming service doesn't he have a show on at this point? I'm like, yo, Tyler's
He's
out here going
covering.
crazy.
Listen, at the end of the day, the name of the game is distribution.
Yeah,
So
he's
once
everywhere,
you figure
bro.
it out, he's everywhere. Yep.
Yeah, he's everywhere, bro. Like he ain't playing no games with y'all. But no, so but I always thought about that, like where did they go? And I saw what Dr. Chaz had put in the comment section. She was talking about like podcasting and all kinds of other things like that. So live events, content streaming, concerts would be dope too. I know Amazon
I
has
think they
started.
did that already, right? Did they do
Amazon,
that?
I know Amazon did a joint with Kendrick Lamar.
Beyonce.
Right.
They did
Netflix did the
Beyonce John
Beyonce.
too.
Right.
Did
Yep.
they?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
All right. I mean, so that would be dope too. All right. Anyway, man, let's get into this week in economics as well as finance. Let's talk about that, right? So so part of what we want to do is Sunday, and shout out to Kamari and Corey, whose idea this was, is to not only just do classes about like different strategies, but also talk about what's going on in the world of finance and use our Sunday platform to do that, our finance church. So let's get into it. Let me see, Kamari. Yes, you pull that comment down, but let me pull up the presentation.
You
Let's
just
get
had
into
it
the
up.
presentation.
Oh,
It was just up. You took it down.
Yeah, you took it down, dog.
I didn't take it down.
That's what
That
she
was you.
said. But no, it
Yeah.
wasn't. Because I was the one controlling it, so I don't know why you stop touching the keys right now.
There you go. There you go.
I keep telling you stop touching the keys, bro. Now I'm gonna leave it alone. Let you do, because
No. You go. It's
I,
out.
listen here, Janet Jackson. I know you got to be in control, but
Listen, man. I'm just a humble servant of the people.
you know what I'm saying. You know what I mean, Janet. Anyway, with that being said, though, we're talking about weekly economics and investment update. So this is the top 5 market stories you need to know. This is for the week of September 12th, 2025. So let's talk about what's happening out there. So the market dynamics are really shifting hard right now, right? So the investment landscape has experienced a rotation. And I'm going to simplify this. I'm not just going to read what's on the slide. A lot of money is shifting overseas, right, into foreign markets. And I think that's something interesting to look at. For those that are watching live in the chat, how many of you guys are invested globally? Like, do you have any sort of international funds, or do you have any international exposure, maybe in individual stocks? Because it may not have to be a fund, but I wonder, because it looks like a lot of money is rotating out of our country. So sentiment indicators are flashing warning signals as bullish positioning reaches extreme levels. So we're going to get into the various stories, but the overarching thing is that when you look at the Fed's decision coming up, the money is reacting to what they believe the Fed decision will be. But outside of that, we have bank mergers and a lot of money just flowing overseas. But let's get into each individual piece. Asia's on the rise. We talked about the bank merger, and there's some bullish sentiment that's going on within the market. So they're talking about the exodus from U.S. equity funds, right? U.S. equity funds has seen a negative, is going negative. Money market funds are going up, which is interesting. Large cap is going down. The tech sector still is on a positive note. So a lot of money is flowing out of large caps that seem to not be tech. Tech is still pretty strong, but a lot of money flowing in the money market. What do you guys feel about that, Corey, Kamari, where large cap money is removed and the money markets are going up? Any thoughts on that?
I mean, anytime people were getting scared, because the one thing I don't think we're talking about is gold. Gold also hit an all-time high.
Yes.
And And every time people get scared, they run to cash or cash-like investments. So
Mhm.
I'm not surprised by that.
Corey, got any thoughts?
Yeah. So again, I'm not even watching the stock market. I'm watching the bond market and the forex market, which is why Kamari hit on the point I was going to hit on with the gold. Gold and silver are up. Silver's up like 35% this year. Gold's up like 30%. Bitcoin's up 20%. And you're looking at it, and what's happening is the vig on on those U.S. equities just keeps going up, and so on those treasury bonds, and that's just along with what we were just talking about with the money moving out of the markets here and into foreign markets, and then people charging the U.S. more to buy the debt. That's a crazy bad combo. That's like
Yeah. So I think overall, what both of you guys are saying that this is a sign of fear.
I mean, I did say that.
No, I'm
Yeah.
saying, but I'm saying that, but that kind of encompasses everything, right? Is that, with all these moving pieces, you guys talked about different moving pieces and some of the same moving pieces, but to kind of like wrap it all up, it's just a sign of fear overall.
Yeah, it's a sign of fear because they don't have confidence in the people who are running the show.
So now my next question.
In the policy.
All right, so my next question to both of you, considering that you see fear, how do we help our folks, or how do our folks navigate when the market's in fear? What do you think is the best thing for our people to do, since we want to make sure we add value? By the way, anything we say here is for educational, informational purposes only. This is not investment advice, not trading advice, not legal advice, not any advice. But what do you guys think is the best? If you were giving some recommendations to people as you watch everyone move in fear, what would that be?
I would move into the positions where people are moving to. So like gold, silver, those kind of things. Excuse me. Bitcoin, foreign markets. Like the world is divesting from the United States. Period. And so if you see the world divesting from the United States, like they're building infrastructure to fully divest from the United States, because if the infrastructure was already built, they would have done it already. The world doesn't care about us crashing and burning. They don't. That's the thing that people don't understand. The world doesn't care. So they care about us. And right now they're figuring out ways to divest from the United States. They can protect themselves.
Kumar, any thoughts about that? Like in terms of what kind of if you're talking to family friends, like when you see the everyone in fear, what is your perspective?
I mean, it's a combination of everything we talk about, right? Everything that we talk about, like having a plan, having insurance, putting money in cash, or we talked about dry powder last week. In addition to what Corey said, is things that we need to do. I mean, because we have a wide swath of people in our audience. We got people who are up with a whole lot of money, and we got some folks who ain't got two nickels to rub together. And then so for those who are good, right, they got good income, they're at the top of the chain. Yes, you can start diversifying. For those who are not, listen, it's always good to save. It's always good to save, and it's always good to follow up on your fundamentals. Your insurances, things like that. Look at all that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah.
And buy what's the old adage? When there's blood on the street, buy.
Get you some
So
grenades, dog. You get you some grenades. Get you some grenades. Get you some grenades. Yo, it's funny. I was talking to a client who's looking to buy a place, and they were like, "I want to help. I need your help buying a house." I said, "All right, I got you." Right. Now, when are you looking to buy? They said probably the top of the new year. Right. And I'm like, "All right, cool." So we get to talking about a plan, and they asked me a question: how much money should I save? And I said, as much as you can. I said, one thing I've never heard anybody say is, yo, you save too much money. Said no one ever. You save too much, right? So, let's make saving great again. But with that being said, though, that's what's going on in terms of where the money is flowing. And great stuff, you guys. But Asia, right? Asia's market's going crazy, and it's powered by AI. So there's a chip boom over in Asia. SK Hynix leads with a plus 7% gains, right? So there's also rate cut optimism and they're speaking about our market. So when I was looking into this, they were saying that Asia is anticipating a rate cut in our market, which is going to blow their market. So it's also showing how we live in a global economy, right? And everything is connected. But a lot of money right now is flowing into Asia. There's an AI boom in Asia as well as, as we see over here. But so just want to make you guys aware of that. I don't know if anybody has any money over in Asia, but salute to you if you do. And I think it was Kamari or Corey. One of you guys just talked about this, how big the world is. I think sometimes we, because we're brainwashed, we forget that it's a huge global economy and it's a whole world over here. There are people who make millions and millions of money who don't even step foot in our country, right? So don't fall for the propaganda and think that we are the be all end all. There are other markets, there are other properties, there's all kinds of other things that go on where there's a lot of money globally. So
Facts.
but there's a lot of money flowing into Asia right now, and they're seeing all-time highs as well. But they are anticipating a rate cut. A lot of these stories really go to what's going to happen with the Fed. There's speculation that they could be at 0.25 or even as high as 50, and I've seen as high as 75. But we'll see. We'll see. So also, what's going on within our market is, let me go back to that one right there. The banking sector. We're continuously seeing more consolidations in the banking sector. So the Capital One Discover already went through, which created a powerhouse. But PNC caught First Bank, right? And that gives them more of a footprint in the Southeast and in Texas, Huntington and Veritex. So another consolidation. So there's multiple consolidations that are happening in the banking sector. So the thing about banks, and I know a lot of my Bitcoin and crypto folks get mad when I say this, but banks aren't going anywhere, right? Because banking is one of the oldest businesses. It's not the oldest business because I don't want the Nate gang to get mad at me when I say it's one of the oldest businesses. But it's one of the oldest businesses, and they've learned they pretty much control the world, right? And I don't want to get into my conspiracy bag too much, but understand that banks are never going anywhere. Now they may reformulate and look different in the future than they've looked in the past. Because what is a bank in 2025? A bank in 2025 is this. This is a bank in 2025. However, the banks have learned to navigate every space. And what you often see when people get scared and we start to see these certain things in our economy is banks start the merger game, right? And we're seeing mergers. So we're going to see some ginormous banks in the future, but just be careful and watch out and see what's going on in the banking sector. So let's keep it moving. There's like some extreme bullish sentiment. So Bank of America, one of their analysts came out and said that they're flashing red, right? Because we're seeing a lot of fund managers pile into equities at levels that we've never seen before, which again is based upon them believing that there's going to be a rate cut. So Bank of America is like, yo, that's a crowded trade, right? So it says that it's dangerous for this much money to flow in at one time. So Kamari just talked about when everybody goes one way, sometimes the best move is to go the other way. And one of their analysts is screaming that, yo, it's a lot going on. So they're recommending what Corey just said, right? This is what the analysts are also saying. Bonds, go international and look for some gold because they feel like it's leaning too far one way. Any thoughts on that, guys?
Well, I'm a fan of bonds anyway.
I know. Mari Milken.
I think we need it. Well, that was the junk bonds, but bonds in general are a great anchor for your overall portfolio. But sadly, we really don't talk about portfolio mix. We only really talk about, not us in general, talking about people in general. We only talk about like the hot takes. So I mean, I think everybody should have 5 to 10% of their portfolio in bonds in some way, shape, or form. There is one ETF that I really love, and it's all preferred stock, and they act like bonds. It's like an anchor that just shoots off income. So, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Corey, you got any thoughts on the Bank of America's contrarian look? They say it's too much going into equities. We can even put some money in bonds, international, and gold. You got any thoughts on that?
It's not contrarian. It's just them looking at
Well, it is contrarian. Statistically speaking, it's contrarian to where they're seeing all the money. Where the whole market, there's so much money flowing into it because a lot of it is speculation about the Fed. Because people don't, if they're right, if there's 50 points, if there's a 50-point hit, the market's gonna go insane, right? So, but now, what if it doesn't? What if he does? What if Rome comes out and says FOH to all y'all?
Well, they're estimating a quarter cut.
Yes, that's the estimates, right? I've heard a quarter,
Yeah,
but I've heard higher than that as well. Now,
I'm open. I'm open. He says FOH and don't do nothing. We don't need a rate cut.
now,
Yeah,
if that happens, shout out to all y'all sitting on shorts, because
yeah. The market going to take a dumb nosedive. So there's two things at play here that need to be looked at, right? The Fed has two main jobs. That is to stimulate jobs and to uh, control the flow of money in and out of the economy, right? So the the first thing is jobs are on the way down, and they
yes,
usually use rate cuts to stimulate job growth. But we're we're entering a point where if rate cuts aren't stimulating job growth, then what's going to happen is you're going to start getting crazy inflation,
hyperinflation they call it.
Well, we're already getting
hyperinflation.
crazy inflation now. That's the thing.
But what I'm saying
But
is,
how do you balance those things real quick, Core? Because what you're talking
so
about is
you so and that's the problem that the Fed is having, is because the rate cuts are not stimulating job creation because of a few things. One, the trustworthy companies, and deregulation. Deregulation is one of the things that's creating job loss. And two, um, AI, right? So a lot of the jobs that, like,
what
if
Bubba
you
Chuck
have a
do.
book, well, the thing is, like, if you got like a book, if you got a bookkeeping job, like, there's a 90% chance your job won't exist in a year or two. Like, if there's certain jobs that people were getting jobs coming out of college doing that like they won't exist in 5 years because
Yeah,
AI
true.
will be fully able to do your job.
No, that's a good point. And there's other jobs that AI can never take away. You know, shout to Stony.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next.
So what? Really
Go
quickly,
ahead, go ahead.
you have to look at the total picture of it, right? If the Fed using rate cuts can't stimulate jobs, and then people don't have jobs, but the inflation is going up, what you're going to get is a straight up depression, because then people not going to be able to afford anything.
Yeah,
So this is looking bleak out here.
yeah, making easy money, pimping hoes and stuff. Listen. Speaking of what Bank of America was talking about, just look at the U.S. indices, right? So you see what's been going on.
Everything's up.
Yeah, pretty much. What's been going on the last 5 months? The Nasdaq is the highest. Obviously, that's tech. But the S&P is right there. The Dow Jones is up. The Russell 2000 is up, with all the money flowing into equities, which is why that analyst was saying, "Yeah, y'all doing too much." So that's also what's going on.
But
So the
real,
five. Go
but
ahead,
real
Kamar.
quick before we go forward, to what Corey was talking about, right? The job reports came out, right? Jobless claims spiked to 263. So jobless people are out of work. They're not
Mhm.
making money. And then they revised some of the job growth numbers by almost a million. I think it was like 900,000 that they revised down.
Yeah.
And then we saw inflation going up by 2.9%. So we got equities going up, jobs are going down, like Corey just said, and inflation's going up. So
Hmm.
we're like in this perfect storm where a white boy Jerome is definitely going to get the brunt of the burden of whatever happens, good or bad, good or bad.
Yeah. Facts. These are facts. All right. So, but you can see how the money's been flowing the last 5 months. So the five critical market takeaways, right? So there's selective U.S. equity caution. The outflows are going to, various markets overseas. Asia's market is booming with the AI driven, as well as waiting for these rate cuts. You see banking consolidation, right? With banks merging at high levels, medium levels, and smaller levels, right? Bank of America's analyst says there's some things we should be careful with pulling all this money in equities. We need to spread it out, further. And the bottom line is the Fed cut expectations are driving all markets, and that's internationally as well as here domestically. So everybody's waiting and wanting to see what the Fed does. Dr. Chance, I know you're in the and you're watching. How are you playing this Fed cut? And anybody else who's like in the markets on a daily basis, what do you guys think about the Fed cut? But those are the top five stories this past week in our economy. So some implications, right? You know, maybe you want to consider reducing your large cap if you're overweight. You know, check a look at your portfolio. Kamari loves to talk about your, portfolio balance, right? So, maintain selective technology exposure. Maybe you want to start to look into Asia. You know, Corey talked about everyone divesting, so maybe you want to start to figure out where you're going to put your capital, right? So, not investment advice, but Asia's a place that a lot of people are putting capital in. So also look at the banking sector for some possible opportunities. And we also talked about defensive positions, which is about, portfolio management again. And consider that big allocation framework in terms of what Bank of America was talking about, whether you're overexposed on one side. And also overall prepare for a volatility increase. So discussion time. Let's go to the comment section, see what we got in the comment section, see if we got any questions, concerns, thoughts, ideas, some hate, anything. We here for all of it.
No, there's no hate, man. There's no hate. There's no hate. Good morning to everybody. What's up, OCL? Yeah.
It's funny. I was going through just comments online, right? And I told you I don't argue with people and all that, but it's funny because the trolls be trolling. Like, what do you guys mean, black wealth rebels? What about other races and their rebels? Like, you can't be a white wealth rebel.
Tell them the case solo, man. I'm not even having conversations, man.
So I just say that to say,
and this is why Jimmy is in control of our social media accounts because my response to those things would probably get us TV.
But it's funny when Mar gets control of social media, Mar makes stuff happen.
I don't even know what that means. I don't know if that was slander. I don't know what you meant by that.
I'm just getting it off. I'm sure you want to
say
come
on, man. Say
come on, man. Hey, all right, so Shelby, thank you for that, man. I appreciate you. By the way, everybody, we just got our first donation for the camp.
Yes.
Someone just gave a food donation.
Yes.
We announced them. Just want to get everything in order yet. But listen, we need help, y'all. We're in the fight. We're in the streets. We're with our babies. So please spread the word far and wide.
And another way you can help us is by supporting our sponsors. And one of our sponsors is Supplement. By the way, I got the yellow bottle out today. You know what I'm saying? I'm stunting you right now. So, you know what I'm saying?
This bottle's everything, man.
Yeah, no, you got the, you know what I'm saying, right. I'm just showing y'all that, you know what I'm saying, I got multiple bottles, but I got the yellow one out today. So here's a supplement bottle. This is our sponsor. Go to getsupplement.com. I got the same, you know what I mean? My black bottle's still my favorite bottle because, it is what it is. But I do got the yellow bottle. So let's let y'all see supplement. So go getsupplement.com. Make sure to support. It is what it is. So let's see what else we got in the chat section before we get out of here, Kamari, because,
not a lot of questions. I mean, so what are y'all doing? What are y'all positioning yourselves into? What's y'all next big move?
Jared, what's good? What's good, Jared?
What are y'all doing?
I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing.
You're buying Bitcoin. we know that, Jimmy.
I'm not even. I'm doing the same thing. Too. I'm gonna tell you. My thing is, if I'm watching the world markets, I'm looking at Bitcoin going to a dumb number, yo. Like, yeah, like.
So yeah, I will say this. I have been buying IBIT. IBIT's up about 20% year to date right now. The S&P is up, I think, 23 or 24% year to date right now. So on any given day, Bitcoin is outpacing the overall market. So I'm happy with it. But my stock of the year for me is GD. So
here you go. Leave your set claiming off the show, bro. Like,
man, we talking about stocks, man. Get out the hood, man. Get out the nigga.
No, man, just say General Dynamic, man, because I'm
gonna say GD.
Come on, man. You gonna have us on a track Ross video or something, man? Like,
come on, FBI man. Watch list.
Yeah, man. He gonna, like, come on, young thug. Like, what's going on, man?
GD's up almost 25% year to date. Plus, it pays a great dividend. So, I'm just going to keep dollar cost averaging into that.
All right, man. I'm
actually jealous that I missed the SoFi run. So, Dr. Jazz mentioned the SoFi leaps, I think she said, or the 40s. I was looking at some of those. I might definitely get on that. I know Shelby's in SoFi heavy too. So yeah.
Listen, man, I don't know what Rich is. Rich in the chat, man. But you got to understand, man. So the SoFi run ain't done for one, and for two. Again, we was in the SPAC. We was in the SPAC before they was SoFi. What was that? See, that's all I remember their SPAC name. We was buying the SPAC before they even went public. But it is what it is. Who says you missed it?
Thank you, Amor. Good morning to you, by the way.
I remember when Bitcoin was at 30,000. It was about 30,000, and I had so many people telling me I missed it. And now I'm like, did you know?
You
Because
missing
even at
out on
100,000,
Well,
even at 100,000, people feel like they missed it, right?
but I think that's because people think, all people, right, black, white, yellow, or green, they always think in short-term relativity slots. They don't think long-term. And I think that's part of the reason why Buffett continues to win. He doesn't play that game.
Well, see, this is also why, like, even me, I always talk about stacking sats. I don't talk about Bitcoin. I talk about sats because I feel like it's a mentality thing when you start to accumulate smaller portions to get to a bigger portion, right? Because think about this. Think about Berkshire. You brought up Buffett, right? When Berkshire was at $80,000, how many people said, "Man, I missed that boat"? You see what I'm saying? Like, and now I don't even know what Berkshire is at now. Right now, somebody in the chat tell me what is Berkshire currently trading for, right? Because
Wait a minute, A or B? A or B?
hey, I'm talking about the A shares. I'm
10X.
talking about the A shares, specifically the A shares.
Okay.
It's
And we
10X,
do have
10X in that number you was just talking about. That's
And we do, and by the way, we do have folks that watch us in the chat that actually own A shares, right? So,
Oh yeah, how about that? How about
own an A share, right? But think about that though. Think about the fact that when they got to be 20,000, right? Because again, they were, we go back in time. We could play this game with a lot of things, but Berkshire is interesting because they don't do the splits, and I think there's a reason he doesn't do the splits either, right? Because for one, you're not going to get the average person to buy that kind of share, so you're not going to be in shareholders meetings asking for things because it's going to cost you some change to get in that shareholders meeting,
And what a lot of people don't realize is that Warren Buffett, even though he's an investment genius, he's a marketing genius, which to me is even more beneficial.
Yeah, he plays the old granddad role. He's a shark. But my point I'm saying is that especially now, right, in 2025, when we have the ability to buy fractional shares, you have the ability to go in and spend $5 on something. And I think a lot of times people say, well, that's not going to move the needle if I only put $5 or $10 on something. But if you're consistent and you have discipline, that beats everything. I'm sitting here now, one of the GOAT finance books sitting right next to me.
Hey, what we doing here? Corey,
Oh, okay. I see you.
Where
No.
was that?
but no, I got it sitting next to me, and because I was looking through it this morning, and it talks about the idea of discipline and consistency, and not necessarily focusing on numbers all the time. And for those who want to talk about, I'll show it again. It's one of the greatest finance books, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. But the idea of being disciplined and having consistency. And that's why if you start to look at it, specifically in 2025, when we have the ability to invest small fractions, you can buy fractions of shares. And people say it's not going to move the needle, it's not going to do much. But if you do it over time, start playing the long game and stop worrying about what'll happen tomorrow. Ignore the noise. You got to block out all the noise and really focus on building something for yourself and your family. When you get into that mind frame, it can change your life, but not just change your life. It could change the next generation of your family's life because now you become a builder and not necessarily someone who's out here trying to hustle or you know what I'm saying, or you out here, just trying to flip money, right? Get out of the flipping money mentality and get into the builder's mentality because builders are, what make long-term wealth is someone being a builder.
Yep. You got to be a builder, creator, or investor. You got to be something.
Anyway, so, with that being said, everybody, we love you guys. Remember, please help us by sharing bthcamp.com. That's bthcamp.com. And if you're not already, please join us in the village. That's blackwealthrebels.com. That is our community outside of all the socials where we do have the ability to speak and communicate with each other. I'll continuously share content back there like I've been doing this past week in terms of things that I find that inspire me, videos or what have you. We are creating specific content for the village that'll be back there as well. The Bitcoin Masterclass, we didn't forget about it. I know it was supposed to be last night, but there was a fight last night for one, and for two, we got to do more prep work for that. I was bothering Kamari last night, and he told me FOH because he was out partying. But
The bull lies so effortlessly. Like y'all gotta watch out for bull.
I'm trying to get the flyer and everything made so because we want to make sure we bring folks into that space. You know what I mean? But that's what we on, man. We on and shout out to Dina, man. Dina, we definitely appreciate the super chat as
Thank you,
always.
Dina.
And that is it, Dina. That's the slogan moving into 2026. Be a builder. Be a builder. Whether that's your portfolio, whether that's your property, even with your family, just be a builder. I mean, stop focusing on everybody. Want to be a hustler. Be a builder. You know what I mean?
All
Yeah,
right,
that would
Jarrell.
be a great first book for our book club. Dope. That would be. That would be. But Jarrell, have you ever read the book? What's the book we said was gonna be the first one? Was it Black Fortunes?
Yeah, we said Black Fortunes, but listen, I'm okay with making an audible. We can make this the first book.
We can, but I just want to know if Jarrell ever read Black Fortunes because Black Fortunes I think is a great first book, but also the Psychology of Money. Psychology of Money is a top 10 finance book of all time in my personal opinion. So
Absolutely.
it is what it is, man.
Absolutely.
We also I have another book that could work too though. It could be we could do Own Your Time and Space. You know what I'm saying, written by Corey Kent and Jimmy the Blueprint Williams. This book right here is
Shameless plug. Shameless plug. Where
this is
can
the
I get the book?
all-time
Where can I
classic.
get the
Oh,
book?
where can you get this book? You can go to
Yes.
ownyourtimeandspace.com and you can get this book. You know what I'm saying? Also, if you want to, if you're interested in the mind of a genius, there's also this book too, by the way. Right? This book is called Sports the Book. You know what I'm saying? You can find this at sportsthebook.com. And this book right here is pure entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Pure entertainment, but also it's a lot of smarts baked into that. But I digress, man.
Okay. Are you done bloviating now? Can we go to work? I have work to do. I got taxes to do. I'm sorry.
I'm listen. I signed out a while ago, man. We
tomorrow.
love y'all. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Join the village and share the village with your family and friends. Any questions? You can always find me in the village. You shoot a message in the village, I'm there. You know what I'm saying? Just start the bat signal. You know what I mean? We love you. We'll see you guys later Friday. Bitcoin giveaway. Throughout the week, content will be dropping in the village. So make sure you check that out. And any questions, hit us up, man. I'm done. Come on, Kumar.
All right, y'all be great. Y'all have a great week.